The Gunner's Vault is brought to you by Robbie Bishop Photography, the official photographer of Acadiana Gunworks and the Gunner's Vault.
Unfortunately, not everyone can own a machine gun like this. There's certain rules you gotta live by. It sucks, but it's the truth. There's also licensing and a little bit of skill. Believe it or not, we got both. Welcome to the Gunner's Vault. Hi kids, welcome to the Gunner's Vault. Today we're going to talk a little bit about suppressed versus unsuppressed weapons. Notice I didn't say silencers. Yeah, the ATF will take SI on their Form 2's silencer, but I absolutely hate people calling them silencers. They don't silence anything, they suppress noise. So let's go through what we're going to do. Got a couple of our guns here, Acadiana Gunworks precision rifles. Basically they're the exact same weapon. The only difference is different paint schemes on them, and this one has a loophole versus this one having a vortex optic. The muzzle brakes are exactly the same, AAC 51Ts. Basically, we're going to go over that a little bit as well. And to one of these guns, we're going to attach an SDN6 AAC suppressor. Suppressor, not silencer. Alright, so here's the deal. We're going to fire suppressed, unsuppressed, both supersonic and subsonic ammo through both guns. We're going to go ahead, sight it in, get all that done. And we have a cool little sound meter that our producer Chris was able to get. And that's going to give us a level, you know, basically you can say, oh, it's quieter. But this is going to say, oh, it's quieter because it says 132. Or it's quieter because it says 90. Or something like that. Incidentally, from what I've understand, just sitting around here talking is about 40 to 60 decibels. So that's kind of cool. Now decibels don't go up like, you know, from 40 to 60 is a small little jump. You know, it's 20. It actually isn't a 20 step. It's a lot bigger than what you'd think. Like 100 is like a big crowd in a stadium or something like that. So the decibels work in weird ways. And it's mathematics, and y'all know I don't do mathematics. So just trust me when I say 100 something is more than 60 or 40. What we're going to be firing is Corbon suppressed 308 ammo. It's kind of cool. It's 185 grain. Unfortunately, I could not find any scope dope or ballistics data for this, so it's going to be a little bit while we try and range it out. We're trying to sneak it out to 300 and get some noises out there, set up a camera so y'all can see what a suppressor is like on the other end of the spectrum. So we'll see what happens. Now this is Federal Premium 308. 168 grain. I use this a lot in my rifle. I like it. My rifle likes it, which is awesome. I've got the scope dope cards on this. I've got all the ballistics data. I've got stuff like you wouldn't believe. In fact, for those of y'all curious what a scope dope card looks like, this is it for the 168 grain ammo. Basically, you can go to Vortex's site or Federal's site or whatever. Here's the Federal version. Is the Vortex version. Go to their site, input the data. A lot of them will have, you know, I'm shooting Federal, punch in Federal, it'll come up with grain 168 versus 175, do all that, and it'll come up with the ballistics coefficient and blah 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 blah, and just it'll tell you exactly where to dial in your scope. 100 yards you're sighted in, at 200 yards you're maybe 5 clicks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you pop it and you're sighted in at 200 yards. You look up your card, 300 yards, maybe 12 clicks. Go, you know, another 5, 6, 7 clicks on top of your 5, and boom, you're sighted in at 300. It should be that easy, and a lot of times it is. Sometimes it ain't. Now, like I said, with these things, we ain't got the data on them. Unfortunately, these fire a lot slower. These are 1,000 feet per second versus 2650 for the Federals. So these are a lot slower. It keeps it kind of subsonic going through the range, keeps the volume down. We don't have any data on this. Could not find any data on this. That sucks. It makes it harder. It's still doable, but it's harder. Alright, let's go through some stuff with the guns right quick. They're both 308 Remingtons, built on McCree chassis that he's been gracious enough to engrave with the cool Acadiana Gunworks symbol on there. That's awesome. 51T AAC muzzle brakes. A little bit about a muzzle brake. It reduces felt recoil. However, a muzzle brake makes it a hell of a lot louder, and the guy on the side of you is going to hate life because the gases escape this way as opposed to this way. So he's not going to enjoy that. But it does reduce felt recoil a lot. So it gets you on target quicker for follow-up shots. And a 300 Win Mag, it makes it a lot easier on your shoulder, stuff like that. Now, suppressor, not a silencer. We can also call it a can. We'll do that. A suppressor or a can, basically it reduces felt recoil as well. But it also reduces, the main reason for these is it reduces volume. It reduces decibel levels. I want to say the SDN6 was like, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like 29, 32 decibels, something like that. A significant amount, you know. There's good cans, they're light. You can get the titanium ones that are lighter. I mean, cans pretty much you get what you pay for. The more expensive the can is, usually the better it is. It's not always true, but you know, as a rule it kind of is. Titanium, like I said, is more exotic, a lot lighter, and it's just more pleasant. Especially if you have it on like an M16 or a Scar or something like that, you can pop it up, and you don't want a 3-pound suppressor on the end of your gun way the hell out here. You want like the lightest can you can possibly get on the end of your gun, so you're not just fighting gravity all day long. It's just one of those things. Alright, so let's see. We went over the guns. They're basically the same. Optics are what's different. Paint job's what's different. We went over the ammo. We went over the little noise meter. Soundometer, we'll call it. Soundometer, whichever. That's about it. We're out here at the Eunice Range today, and we're going to have some fun. Okay, guys, the first thing we have here is a Ruger 1022. It's unsuppressed. We're firing just standard 22 long rifle cartridges out of it. This will give us, hopefully, a good control sound on our meter. Or level, rather. And that should do that. Okay, kids, so we got the control on our 22 caliber volume. Oddly enough, it registered below 70. We were all pretty surprised about that. We thought it would be more. The sound-o-meter is actually about 8 feet away from me in my firing stance. So maybe that had a little to do with it. I'm sure it did, but still, we were pretty surprised about the result. Next, we're going to fire the 308 unsuppressed and find out what comes out of that. Okay, this is Corbon 185 grain subsonic ammo. You're going to notice a noticeable difference here. I don't even have ears on. Nobody out here does. We don't need them anymore. This is impressive. We've got readings for the other ones, which I'll give you here in a minute. But y'all are going to really dig the reading on this. It's really cool. Another thing, it's hot. I'm sweaty. I hope y'all appreciate this. I want ice cream. Next we're going to shoot a car and it's going to blow up. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and shoot some clay pigeons, and what we're going to do is set up a camera and our soundometer downrange so y'all can actually hear what it sounds like downrange. I think this is going to be pretty cool. I haven't seen anybody do this before because nobody wants to go stand out there and hold the soundometer, but Chris, our producer, is going to do that for us today, so it's going to work out really well. See you in a few. Stick your hand up. Okay, Chris, move your hand a little more forward. Awesome, awesome. Hold what you got. I'm going to be taking a shot. Okay, kids, well, we did some filming and we got some numbers for you. First off, this weapon right here. We fired it unsuppressed with supersonic ammo, specifically the Federal 168 grain. What it recorded was actually 83.8 decibels, which was a little softer than we thought it would be, but it's still, you know, pretty damn loud. And keep in mind the sound-o-meter is actually about 8 to 10 feet behind the gun. We want that for a good angle for, you know, filming purposes. Now, this is kind of a surprise to us on this one. Our suppressed gun, we fired supersonic ammo, the Federal 168 grain, and it came out to 69.8 average decibels. You know, that's pretty quiet. That's cool. We were pretty happy with that. Now we fired the Corbon suppressed, we fired the Corbon subsonic 185 grain ammo, and this is cool. We got 64.6. So we only got like 4 decibel level difference between the supersonic and the subsonic ammo. And let me tell you, firing with the supersonic ammo is a lot easier than firing with the subsonic ammo, especially since I can't find any range data for this. So, I'm going to shoot this stuff because it's a lot more fun. However, this, you still need ears with. You still get a nice little, not really a, you get a little crack with it. You don't get a boom, you get a nice little crack. And that, you know, it'll make you deaf. It hurts, it stings. This stuff, it's like shooting a BB gun. It's really like shooting a BB gun. Incidentally, if you just heard that firing, that's from a range over there, the pistol range. They're reading about 60 to 80 decibels, depending on what they're shooting. Which, by the way, the 22 is in the 60 decibel range, was it? Yeah, the 22 is in the 60 decibel range. So this thing is firing supersonic or subsonic ammo is basically as loud as a 22. That's cool. It's science, but not really, because, you know, I don't really know to do science on this.